All right, you're on the Live the Dream Media Network. Remember, we have our St. Patrick's Day party coming up on Monday. Smooch the Donkey will be here, international superstar, my personal friend. We're so hip here. We have a QR code you can actually scan on your phone and take you right to the ticket link. If you want to call in, 771-5101. We got Officer Jamie Voss, 24-year veteran. 24-year veteran, and Nate Foster. He is a traffic detective with TPD. You've been on the force for 18 years?
Almost, yeah.
Almost 18 years, and he's the president of the Reasonable Actual Advocates for Their Members union called the Tucson Police Protective League, part of AZ Cops. Did I get all that right?
Yeah. You're rolling it off the tongue now. You're professional.
Me smart. Bill number one, please ask the gentleman if the techniques that worked aren't being used because there's no money, no one will use them, or they're deliberately being ignored by management.
So there's a lot of policy and techniques being pushed down from the top at TPD right now. Some of those issues, or some of the things, are deflection. And deflection is essentially where we just take their drugs and then take them to the CRC or CBI, where they hit the door, and the minute we leave, they leave.
What's CRC, CBI?
So it's the Crisis Response Center. It's basically a place where we take someone to start the treatment process.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of a voluntary thing on their behalf. And we're kind of leveraging them by saying, oh, we're not going to arrest you. We'll take your drugs and we'll give you a taxi ride to the treatment facility. But the minute we leave, they're out the door. And I don't know. I honestly wish that someone would start looking into these facilities to see how much money they're making off of the. Oh,
the CRC is a private company?
I'm not sure who's funding it, where their money's coming from, how they're getting paid.
Oh boy.
To provide subpar service, because the rumor I'm hearing is basically the minute they hit the door, they check them in. That's all they need to collect the dough.
Gotcha.
So it would be neat for someone to look into it a little more and maybe expose what's really going on there, because it's not working. It's great. Like, I think all of us agree, if we have someone that wants to get treatment and get help, none of us have a problem giving them a ride down there to start that process. But what Officer Voss is saying is these people won't make that decision. You have to leverage them with arrest. Yep. And it's really the really tried and true process that we have.
Also, in regards to those two facilities, they get paid when the guy or the person walks through the door, not upon successful completion of a program. Which, I mean, if they're going to get paid, how about you earn your money? That's what I think.
Tell me about right now. There's things situations that in the old days you would make an arrest because you would think something might happen that was logical towards the end, where now, what's the situations that you could arrest 10 years ago that you can't arrest now, or you won't even make the arrest because it's a waste of time?
So I'll tell you right now that I monitor, and this sounds bad, but I monitor a lot of people that I know are troublemakers. And I'll see this guy and I'll say, okay, I'll arrest him, but I know he only has 5 warrants. And if I take this person
I love that.
to
He
jail,
only has 5.
It's incredible because I'm going to go back. In 2001, when I first started, if I arrested somebody for shoplifting and they had a warrant for shoplifting and I did not take them to jail, I would have no less than 3 or 4 senior guys in my squad pull me aside and say, why didn't you book that guy? We fixed problems here. Why didn't you book him? And if I didn't have a good reason, I would be ridiculed. You can trust these guys with your life, but not your feelings. And so fast forward to today, I can tell you that I've taken people in the not so distant past with 10 warrants to pretrial services, and they were released. They left the jail before I left the jail, and then at that time.
Let's talk about this dude. This is where we're getting there. Joe, can you bring up the horizontal one first? Yes, please. And you can cover, make it as big as you can, and cover all. Yeah, I mean, you can cover my ugly face. These guys are hunks here, but let's make it as big as possible so people can take a look at this.
In my youth,
I didn't even have to hand this to you. You know exactly what's on here.
Exactly.
What do we got?
This is a gentleman who was arrested on the east side. He went into a restaurant, ordered some food, and then just fell asleep. They called us, and because they told him to leave, he wouldn't leave. They said, we're going to call the police. He said, I dare you. And so cop shows up, to fix the problem.
Gotcha.
He gets taken to jail. At that time, he had 18 warrants and 2 new charges. So I believe that he's got 20 right there.
He does now. The first one on here, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So there's 18 warrants on there.
Gotcha.
And then there's 2 new charges.
Gotcha.
So he was taken to jail, booked into jail. Pretrial rejected him, so he got booked into the jail. And then I just took a screenshot, looked it up on a personal phone, and took a screenshot. And then the next day, I looked at the jail roster again, and that's when you'll see the flip side.
Joe, can you bring the other image up, please, sir? All right. So so explain what's on this one, officer.
Well, there's 18 less charges, and the nearly $5,000 in the bond, which for that guy might as well have been $1 bajillion because he's not coming up with it. Now he only owes, I think, what is it, 500 or 1,000, and I believe he did. I don't remember if it was 10 to 15 days, and then he was released. So again, this is a guy who is an addict, and we would like to see him get clean, but he doesn't have enough time to get that out of the system.
So this is a city judge, or is this now, when you have 18 warrants, does this get to a county level or not? I don't know.
No, I believe it's going to be. I think that was on a weekend. I think it was either a Saturday or Sunday. I was looking.
So Tucson City Court, right on each of these. Tucson City Court here. So in the end, there's a judge that's getting rid of 18 of their warrants?
Yes.
Just throwing them in the garbage?
They're just being quashed, or they're just. I had another one where I had 14 warrants that were quashed and 2 additional charges that were dismissed just right off the bat, and the guy was released.
So the perps in this, the druggies, when they're semi-lucid, not lucid, they understand that the courts are their friends, right? And they understand now. Are we still on the 10 fentanyl tab limit with Conover, where if it's 10 or less, she won't do anything with them?
I believe so. I think that there's an issuing guideline that supersedes Arizona state law. I mean, I don't know if that's. Can I say that?
Nate, why are you giggling?
Yeah. So again, 1 fentanyl pill is a lethal dose for, is it 60% of the population? And it's.
We're paying for billboards that says 1 fentanyl pill can kill.
1 can kill. That's
but
true.
If you have 10 or less, Conover doesn't want anything to do with it.
It's misdemeanor paraphernalia.
Yeah, her interpretation of Arizona state law does not exist in writing. So
Right.
it's really hard for me to make accurate judgment calls on her decision making. There's thousands of examples of where she's completely dropped the ball on her side of prosecuting criminals. And at the end of the day, we have this revolving door at the jail. There's no accountability. The criminals know this, and they even know how to exploit the jail system, because every time now that Jamie arrests someone, they'll tell him, "Oh, I just smoked fentanyl," knowing that the jail won't accept them. And now we're being forced to take them to the hospital, where we don't have the resources to sit on them for 3 or 4 hours at the hospital.
Correct.
So they just get released and they go away back to what they're doing. And just kind of, I think, without really laying it out, every part of our system here is broken, and it's not working, and the problem's going to get worse. It's only getting worse. And we're trying to advocate on the side of accountability for the criminal in a way that's not we don't want to jail everyone and make everyone rot in jail, but we want to help these people get better.
Right.
And for them to do it at this point, the only option we're seeing is to put them in a jail or a secured treatment facility that's going to be like a jail.
So a couple of the Wakies are chiming in on the live chat. Scott, funding, the CRC was built with Pima County bond funds. Patient care is funded by Medicaid. Acquisition, Sierra Tucson, which was previously part of CRC Health Group, now Actia Health, is what he just said. 857 Tucson, new bill being sent to Arizona legislator SB 1257 allows for courts to hold for 5 days if on drugs or danger to themselves. So,
And that's a new law that was just passed, and that was spearheaded by the Crime Free Coalition.
yeah.
And it's great to have them as a partner and to work with them because they're actually getting things done on the legislative side. But the sad thing is our local leadership here doesn't care about the law or reality. They'll continue to do what they want to do. And that's why these elections are so important. That 70% landslide we just had on Prop 414, we need to start seeing that in some of these local elections, because the only reason this stuff continues to occur is they feel secure in their position.
Sure.
They don't feel any threat from the voter that their job is in jeopardy. They know that they have the magic letter by their name, and that people just check the box.
Correct.
And the Crime Free Coalition, I'm really glad to see them running candidates against these people, and they're running primary opponents. And
Yep.
the voter really needs to look at these primary opponents and start voting for them. It doesn't matter at this point if you're a voter in Tucson and you're voting for an incumbent. You're
You're just cutting your own throat.
You're cutting your own throat. You're continuing the misery. Start voting these people out of office. Every single one of them. They do not deserve your vote. They are borderline criminal in their negligence and what has gone on here.
Yep.
And I'm sick of it. He's sick of it. That's why he wrote the memo. And then it fell on deaf ears. He got no response.
I was
from
going to
mayor
ask you,
council.
did you get any hit back or response?
Chief Kazmar called me and we had a good conversation. I mean, it was clear that I wasn't throwing mud or anything. I was just, these are the things that I'm seeing and these are the things that I think we're looking at in the not so distant future. And Chief Kazmar was receptive and we had a good conversation about it.
Why did you go directly to the council with your memo?
They're making the rules. They're enforcing the rules, let me put it this way: there are some things that are laws that we're not allowed to enforce, and like I'll just use the panhandling statute. It is an active city code right now. It's an active city code, and we're not allowed to enforce it. So when you see these people on the medians, if you give them money, you're buying fentanyl for them. Fentanyl and meth. Most of them are in both.
And that's the primary source of income for these people to continue to buy the drug that is responsible for them committing all of this crime and spreading misery throughout the whole city.
Yeah, just to give you basically this is funding the crimes of criminal damage, criminal trespassing, open air drug use and drug sales,
Fires.
reckless burning, urinating and defecating in public, the general theft, which is in shoplifting and burglary. It's all, there's the majority of those calls that we go to are going to have a drug addicted homeless nexus to them.
The person who says she's the mayor around here says that magnification of crime through the bus being free is ludicrous and has no data. How has that changed the crime world since they made it a hop on, hop off kind of thing?
They call it the getaway bus for a reason, and I guess we could just leave it at that. I know that there was a lot of data that was any time that the bus was involved in a crime, it was documented by a supervisor on the east side. Did a really good job, laid it all out. This is what we're seeing. They submitted it, and I guess that doesn't count for data.
So the commander on the east side,
no, supervisor.
Supervisor on the east
guy.
side,
Yeah.
compiled a report of the getaway bus and how it has contributed
Yes.
to a variety of extra crime or however it's magnifying crime. Sent into, I assume, Chad, and disappeared.
I'm not sure where it went. I just know that it was the numbers were compiled.
dang.
They were organized, and the guy who did it, he's a former detective. He's a sharp guy, and he wrote it out.
Does he still work there?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
That is
Yeah.
actually ludicrus.
That is ludicrous.
ludicrous.
Ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. God, was it? I don't remember if it was yesterday or day before. Our zebra guys, or the guys that are hard charge or meat eater guys, they're looking for a guy with a felony warrant. They know he's in this area, and my boss was over there, and he's looking. He goes, just sees the guy run across the street, jump on the bus. And he goes, hey, he just jumped on the bus. And then so they stopped the bus, and he was on the bus. So
Again, my favorite part of the data, as the mayor would say, and it's just horrible that this was squashed right from the East Side supervisor, is the union, the Suntran union, did their own survey.
yeah.
And what's great about it is the people who did the survey, I've never seen this in a survey. In the preamble to the results, they said, as the people doing the survey, we felt unsafe on the bus doing the survey.
That says a lot. Every what is it? Every few days, every week, couple weeks, you'll hear another Suntran driver got beat up,
Yeah.
assaulted there, or this person got beat up on the bus, or there'll be.
The problem is the Suntran union is just like TPOA. For whatever little pennies they'll get in a raise, they're willing to let everyone be a danger and not talk about it.
It's
just to cover Rahina's ass.
Yeah, I
Now, are they? Do you know this? And this is a rumor, and I want to make sure I'm accurate on this. But do they get free health care from the city? I want to believe that was one of their benefits.
Who's they?
The Suntran workers.
I don't know. I've never heard that. I think we
I don't know.
certainly had to look into
That
that.
might have changed now with the cost.
But still, it's the same attitude, right?
Yeah.
That TPOA has. They're going to give us a 0.5% raise soon, so we can throw our officers and their safety into the toilet.
Yeah,
That's the way I see it.
yeah. I think most of the department at one point or another were TPOA members, and there's a reason that we're not anymore.
How about because it's so understaffed? And how does it change? We've had this discussion before. How does it change the dynamic when you're in a violent confrontation and you know that instead of, you could hold off and maybe 6 to 8 officers are coming your way, but now they may not be coming your way anytime soon. How does it change the dynamics of the confrontation?
Well, I think the young guys, and when I was young, I would have, I don't care, let's go. We would have,
Thank you.
Would have thrown down right there. I think right now you really do, or someone with gray hairs like me, you look at the situation, you go, let's wait for another unit, and so as long as there's not, if there's someone being victimized actively, then.
But what if units aren't coming for another half hour?
Again, if this is a dangerous job, this job is inherently
But it's
dangerous.
more dangerous now than it was 10 years ago, isn't it?
Most definitely. Yeah. It was, you would, I remember the days where you would do a traffic stop and there'd be, 2-3 cops would drive by and like, you okay? And you'd stand good, and it's not like that anymore. I can tell you I was recently in a foot pursuit and I had just asked for another unit and there were none. And then sure enough, man, and I was out with 4 people. One of them had an aggressive pit bull and this one dude bolted and he was in his 20s and was just smoking meth. So I didn't catch him, which I'm okay with. I've come to peace with it. But he got away, and it bothered me because I was like, God, if I had another unit, just watching that side of it, he wouldn't have seen that window that he just took off.
And if that guy ever did something really more miserable in the future, it's one of those things where you go,
I would
if I
like
had
to,
another unit here.
Yeah, I would like to report that I did catch him about 2 weeks later.
Well
and,
played.
And he was probably immediately released. Right. So, but
Most definitely.
yeah, but still got him.
So, Nate, you and I have had this discussion. I just had this discussion with Chad on the show, 2.5 weeks ago when he was on. Mm-hmm. I am so sick of saying 748 officers deployable. That's not true, is it? If we're talking about guys like him, right,
Yeah.
that are on the street. That is not there's no 750 Jamies running around the streets of Tucson.
No, it's half of that number.
Yeah, it's like
It's half of
I've
that
heard it's like
number,
if you
realistically.
minus everyone out of Army Reserve, injury time, whatever, I'm hearing like 300.
Yeah, it's much less, and that's in patrol, and then you got commanders. You have, we don't have as many specialized units as we used to have, but we've seen realistically a 40% reduction in our sworn staffing. And the solution to that now is that we're going to just backfill those positions with civilians, which is great. They help us, but they can't do what a cop with a badge and a gun does.
Correct.
They're limited. So it's a creative solution, but in reality, like he said, our jobs are 100% more dangerous. this current political climate that we have to operate in is ridiculous. Being a cop is not what it used to be. It's not fun anymore as it was when I first started, and what he's talking about back in the glory days. It was the greatest show on earth.
Absolutely.
You lived the job. You loved it. Your camaraderie was amazing. Like, it's just to see what it's become nowadays. Like, the reason we can't fill these vacant positions is nobody in their right mind wants to be a cop right now.
Right.
And the city,
especially not here.
The city doesn't understand that because they do very little to keep us around. They don't value us.
So remember, this is the city when the city of Phoenix decided we're going to overinvest in cops. Steve Kozaczek shot his stupid mouth off and said, that's stupid. They're blowing it for everyone else by making it too expensive to pay for cops because they were paying for cops.
Yeah.
That's what kind of nuts you're dealing with.
Yeah, and it's a simple supply and demand issue. You know, you learn day one in an economics class is that the amount of officers in the country is very limited to what's needed. And agencies are paying top dollar. So now it's a bidding war.
Sure.
And now you got people throwing sign-on bonuses on there. I saw recently a California agency offered $100,000 as a sign-on bonus. Granted, that's in California.
That'll pay for a quarter of a crappy house.
Yeah, or your groceries for maybe a year. I don't know, but it's just those kind of things. It's people are really getting competitive, and it's still not drawing people to the career field. So it's one of those things. This is a national issue. And I think it's one of the reasons why Trump won. You know, he's someone that supports the police.
Yep.
And we need to really see a national movement to really start supporting law enforcement. We need to start getting back to basics. And I feel like our position as a union, the reason we value the Crime-Free Coalition and the business community is we need their support more than we need the mayor and council's support.
I think the business community has been unbelievably restrained and almost too nice with the beating that they're taking in this town.
I agree.
It's unbelievable.
I'm surprised by that. When it comes down to the Speedway in Alvernon, that business where
Blind guys.
Yeah, he's had enough, and he's not going to wait for the cops anymore. I think that's something that's probably on the horizon. Where once you start messing with someone's ability you start messing with their livelihood, how they feed their family, and the 911 calls for, hey, there's a group of people over here who set up a camp in my parking lot and I'd like them removed. I think that those calls, people are going to take things in their own hands, and those 911 calls are going to turn into, hey, looks like somebody beat somebody with a bat. And
that's my fear, right?
Well,
Is the business owner finally gets pissed off.
Enough's enough.
Beats some guy with a bat.
Yeah.
And then that business owner is going to get vilified by the Romeros and Conovers of the world. Yeah. That's the part that sucks.
It seems like, it's okay. So we have to tell people, hey, listen, don't take law in your own hands. Call 911. Well, but it takes us 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours to get there. So. Yep. So are we? It just doesn't. And if there was if I could tell people to call 711 or 811 and get a better funded, better staffed department, I would do that. But there's 911 and we're it, and we need to do a better job, and we're not doing it.
Well, again, thanks to first, nice meeting you today.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Thanks to both you guys for stepping up. There's a lot of other officers that I know are doing it too, but thank God that you guys are out there talking, because if you guys don't do it, no one's doing it.
Good. Yeah, that's why we're here, and appreciate you sharing your platform as always with us, and giving us a voice to, hopefully reach out to some people that are clueless and they need to hear what the reality is.
Remember, I'm down to Maslow's hierarchy of needs right now when it comes to this show. If we can't do the basic safety of the human being, all this other crap means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Officer Voss, thanks for stepping up.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for doing what you do. Nate, thanks for stepping up. Thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you.
All right. When we come back after the break, Shelly Keiss is going to be sitting in for the third hour with me. We have a lot of stuff to cover. She's going to talk about how 414 really is a preamble to CD7 Democrat primary. Will be one of the things we talk about. You're on Wake Up on the Live the Dream Media Network.